Welcome to Stay Sparked. On this show, we explore how to stay inspired in the modern world with the most profound lessons from Burning Man, psychedelics, relationships, entrepreneurship, spirituality, travel, and more. Welcome to Stay Sparked. Today we're going to be talking about self-love, creating our avatars, and some new tools and technology that may or may not be helping us in this path. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce my co-hosts. Betsy is a coach and a healer. She is the creator of the Power Affirmation Journal. It is so awesome to have you here, Betsy. Betsy, welcome, and what are you grateful for today?
Thank you so much, Halcyon. I am so grateful to be here, first of all. And secondly, I will say I'm really grateful for my morning practice. Right before this, I got to drop in and do my practices, which always just make me feel so good to start my day. So really grateful for the time that I get to spend with myself in the morning.
Beautiful. Thank you. I know you are so dedicated to that, and it is so inspiring. So thank you for that reminder. Also here is JANUS. JANUS is the founder and CEO of NuWorld Nutritionals. He creates a mushroom-based supplement that is changing lives. Welcome, JANUS. What are you grateful for?
Good morning, Halcyon and Betsy. Today, I'm grateful for my friendships. I have had a number of really quality conversations of late with some really wonderful individuals that I've loved and known for a long time, such as you two. And it's been really good to get a lot of different perspectives on, the state of the world these days, and have some really, quality conversations around that. So it's been a fun last few days, and it's been great. So I'm definitely grateful for that.
Wonderful awareness of gratitude for those connections. I am grateful for a opportunity I had this weekend to practice as being a love ambassador. I was at a large gathering called Winter Nights in San Diego, and I passed a young woman, some adolescent with half-bleached hair, and she had the stance of a woman going through adolescence with difficulty. And I just had this calling, I should say something. So I kind of walked around, tapped her on the shoulder, and I said, "Excuse me, I couldn't help but noticing that I think you're a weirdo, and I'm a weirdo too. And I just wanted to let you know that being a weirdo is awesome." And she kind of like lit up, and her mom was kind of like, and so I said, "Can I give you a sticker?" And I gave her a sticker and her mom a sticker and gave them hugs, and then went off into the night. And I was like, I have a feeling that that's going to be good for her, and I wish someone would have done that for me. And I just was just glad that I'm at a place right now in my life where I can take that risk and put that into the world.
Yeah, awesome. Love that. Halcyon, way to go. Spreading the light.
And so as I was doing that, I was wearing a massive pink furry coat.
I was just going to say.
And my pink hair, and was looking a little bit like a avatar version of myself, which I've cultivated for a long time. And so that is a good segue into this topic. It was brought to kind of the forefront of my thinking because of this new app that launched called Lensa. And honestly, I made the decision that I was going to make it public and post it, even though there's a lot of reasons that people are afraid of it. And I've had a number of people, after seeing me do it, have done it. So I kind of feel a little bit like a Pied Piper with maybe some potential responsibility, but I think that the topic of this, it brings up a lot of interesting things about cultivating our avatar and embracing this highest, best version of ourselves. And you two people are some of the people I've witnessed go through this in a powerful way for as long as we've known each other. So let me just say, JANUS, was there something that made you decide, okay, I'm going to try this digital tool?
Honestly, it was probably due to the fact that you and several other people I know were kind of posting these images, and they were just so cool. They just looked really good, and I was like, that looks fun. And so I thought about it, and then right around the same time, I was seeing a number of people who were kind of naysaying the whole enterprise for a few reasons we can get into later. And after kind of weighing it out for myself, I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and try it. This looks fun. So I'm not going to get too, caught up in it and everything. But I did, and yeah, and the images that it's kind of spit back at me were really something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yes,
don't.
yours definitely were.
Yeah, and I don't know if we want to get
Woo!
into that now. Um,
Well, let's get into it in a second. I mean, because
yeah,
I had some experiences looking at it where I'm like, I feel amazing gazing at this version of myself. And then before we get into that too much, Betsy, you posted something in response to this kind of trend with a picture of you that was not manipulated. And so could you speak to what you posted and what you talked about in that post?
Sure. Yeah. First of all, I just want to respond and say I actually thoroughly enjoyed looking at both of yours as well. It was really fun. You both looked so beautiful. Yeah, and so I think I went through a bit of a process on my own, reflecting on whether or not I wanted to participate in this app, and I was really reflecting a lot on my journey in self-expression, and also especially through the Burning Man world and culture, and so many of the opportunities to dress and express myself with all kinds of flair. I think that that's such a beautiful gift that I've gotten to experience and see many of my friends do. And so I decided that I had this photo of myself that I hadn't posted that was from Burning Man, where I was wearing a beautiful headdress and painted my face, and I felt really beautiful. I felt like I was the avatar, and I hadn't posted it. And honestly, I was kind of feeling like not ready to post it. You know, it's been many months since I took that photo. And then when I saw all these avatars coming out, I was like, oh, wait, it's a safe place to share the celebration of who I am and in my exuberance, in my creativity, in my color. And then I did a little more self-reflection around, well, how do I want to post this and how do I want to share from a place of honoring everybody's choice? Because you can see that there is definitely a little bit of a debate in this conversation around to do this or to not to do this, and there's some judgment on some sides. And so I wanted to actually celebrate this beautiful opportunity for us to see ourselves in this new light. And my hope is that now that people are seeing themselves with this AI version of themselves, which is highly fashion. It's like so much fashion, right? All the costumes and the jewelry and the face paint and the coloring of the hair that people are getting to see themselves. My hope is that it inspires more people to start to dress in their own expression of self on a more regular basis. And so I wanted to share a picture of myself dressed up in my own avatar. And it felt really good because then I started seeing people posting actual pictures of themselves in their colorful expressions, in their light, in their magic, which is really cool because I feel like that helps us to kind of like pop out of the mundane. Right, the pandemic especially kind of gave us a lot of people that more like, let me just dress down. You know, there's not really much to do, so I'm just gonna like wear my yoga pants all the time or pajamas and just like kind of go with the cookie cutter kind of look. And it's so exciting and wonderful to see people dressed up. Like Halcyon, the first time I saw you over a decade ago when I moved to San Diego, you were walking on the street. I was in a car with a friend, and my friend knew you, and I saw you with your pink jacket and your pink hair, and you had your Burning Man bike, and I was like, oh, something came over me. Like, who is that magical being? And it's a spark. You were a spark for me. And so how can I be a spark for others in my expression of my avatar and out in the world?
Yes! You know, and that's, I mean, so we talked about this a little bit in episode 2, and I encourage you to go listen to that about radical self-expression, the Burning Man principle, and how powerful it is as a tool of activism in the way that you were saying. I mean, one of the reasons that I've been called to risk judgment by being a expressed avatar of myself in the world is that it does give people permission to kind of take that risk. And I think what we're seeing now with these portraits is that instead of a guy on the street on a pink bike, you get to see yourself as that potential inspiring thing. You know, you get to see motivated by your own ideal self. And I've had a lot of people say it's unhealthy. You know, no one can live up to the standard. You know, everyone is going to be disappointed in themselves. And I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, we've been looking at airbrushed fake versions of celebrities for a long time. And I think that's way more unhealthy than a celebrated, idealized version of ourselves. So I think that there's a lot of reasons to be having these conversations, but overall, I feel like it is a manifestation of this, a tool of self-esteem. You know, my imagination cannot paint myself as powerfully as this tool can paint me. So now I'm holding this vision of myself in a more crisp way than I ever have, and I feel like it's a manifestation tool. You know, I can visualize the superhero version of myself more powerfully than I ever have before.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes, you start to move differently.
Yeah, yeah. I want to just touch base before we get too far away from it. That it's a really astute point that Betsy is making about the timing of this coming out. Like we're all just coming out, like you said, of like dressing down, staying home, sweatpants, onesies, just really dressing ourselves down and not having a real reason to dress up or to get made up and things like that. And then now things are opening up and have been opening up for a while. But, you know, this technology comes along that allows us to do like the future version of like glamour shots from the mall, where it's just press a few buttons and upload some photos, and we, you know, look like the highest, most beautiful version of ourselves. And the thing that I think was great was, and that was my own process with it, was like looking at it and looking at these images, some of these images, because some of the images are like, you know, we've got like 8 fingers and like a you know, third eye coming out of our cheek and something like that. So they're certainly not all perfect. So I think that's actually pretty good to kind of keep us in check. Be like, oh yeah, that's also me. But seeing some of these like really exemplary photos of us, like you've got one in your background, Halcyon, of that I remember seeing, and really seeing yourself in them, be like, wow, that is me. Whoa. Yeah. It's like, all right. It definitely put a pep in my step. It definitely kind of lifted me up a little bit. Not that I wasn't in a space of needing it, but I felt good looking at those things, looking at those images.
Yes, I would love to piggyback off of that, because the evolution of where we are going, right? Can you imagine what artists felt when photography came out, right? Photography is now there's an evolution of the photography, right? Versions of ourselves. There's this evolution of art, right? And for me, I have spent some time modeling. So maybe about a decade ago, I was with somebody who's an incredible photographer who started taking photos of me. And at first it was really awkward and uncomfortable and being in front of a camera. And then he would show me a photo of myself with some slight edits and lighting. And I remember having these moments going, oh, that's me? And when I saw that reflection of me through his lens and the way that he portrayed my beauty, I noticed myself start to stand differently and move differently and think differently about myself. It was a major shift. And the more that I started to do modeling and get comfortable in front of the camera, I would actually have these really profound breakthroughs and seeing these photos of myself. Like this one you have in the background, Halcyon, of yourself. This looks like, to me, it's like your higher self, right? And I have one that it's a photo, but it's been edited with like a cosmic background, and there's like some cool sacred geometry on it. And I actually have that up in my space from time to time to remind me of my highest self, my cosmic self. And when I look at that, it helps me to get out of my own way, right? When my ego is talking, or if I'm doubting myself, looking at a picture of myself where I'm empowered, it's like, oh yes, that's who I want to be. That is who I'm calling in to be in the driver's seat. So having these avatars to reflect back to us, this version of ourselves, I hope, like JANUS, you're saying, it gives us this beautiful opportunity to go, oh wow, I actually am pretty beautiful and magical, and I have the potential to be that warrior or be that king or queen or fairy.
Yeah. And I think there's this amazing like fashion and hair. It's like you've been stylized or, you know, styled by these incredible incredible, talented, magical things. I actually last night I put some blue and purple in the tips of my hair because I saw this AI version of myself. I'm like, ooh, I like what my hair looks like in that.
Ooh,
So I'm
good.
gonna go take it as an inspiration. One of the
Yes.
things, there's been this conversation about the frustration of what does this mean to artists, and I think, as you mentioned, photography changed painting. And I think that this changes the way that certain art is going to look. But I think an important thing to remember is that, like, you can get an absolutely perfect plastic set of dishes, but there's people still love ceramics.
Yes.
There's always going to be a need and a value for things that have soul and things that have the artist's energy in it. These do not have that to it. They are a avatar tool of manifestation, but they are not the same thing as something created by an artist that has the energy of a creator in it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I actually had, right when I first started seeing these, the first person I thought of was one of my most favorite artists. I'm a collector of many of her pieces, is Skye. And her style has primarily faces. She paints beautiful faces and many different expressions of archetypes and just profound detail. And she's just an incredible visionary. And so I thought of her because now there is this technology that is, changing people's faces and, making art out of people's faces. And I think it's going to bring up all kinds of different things for different artists. And by no means would I stop being a collector of her art because there is this AI out there. Like, I absolutely love her art and I love other painters. I'm also a collector of other visionary artists, and it doesn't change my love for the craftsmanship of knowing that these are brushstrokes by somebody that put their love and their talent and their skill and their time into. There's a frequency, right? It's just
Yeah.
a different frequency.
And I feel I want to jump in here and say that I feel like I agree with that, and I want to. I think it's real quick for us to jump into a binary of like, it's like this is better than that, or this is more of whatever. This has more soul than this other thing, and I think both things can be true. It's easy to to the point, like, no one's ever gonna. Just because photography came along, people didn't stop collecting painting. People didn't stop painting. I don't see people stopping. I don't think anybody's going to, now that we were able to create this AI art very easily, I don't think people are going to just abandon other forms of art and, jump into this. I don't think it's going to supplant anything. I think it's just simply an addition to the realm that is considered art. And I've seen some artists, there's some backlash against it from people I considered and respect as like being wonderful artists. And I've seen just as many artists absolutely love it. And they're like, this is a tool. Like, there's a question like, well, is this going to put graphic designers out of business? And I've seen a number of graphic designers be like, this is fantastic. I love this. This is just another tool that allows me to do what I do. And I feel like it's important to kind of reject the binary and be like, okay, so I love this stylized AI version of myself, and I love this like photo of me from back when I'm covered in dust and from 2004 or whatever, or this other painting of me with my friend, whatever. I think we can look at all mediums and enjoy and appreciate all mediums without having to denigrate one of them over the other.
Yeah, and I think that there's, behind me I have a picture of me that is one of the Lensa portraits, and on my other side I have a portrait that I commissioned from an artist named Janelle Despot that is a portrayal of me that does not look like a photograph, but it is a essence of me that is interpreted through her creative mind. And it has a very different impact on me, but similar. They're both these ways of like finding an image of myself that is beyond what I see in the mirror. And I had somebody actually, I commissioned somebody earlier this week to make a digital painting myself. They was, hey, I've got this
I
new
love
thing
that.
I'm doing. And I offer, and I said, sure, I'm always trying to support artists if they're, and I posted what they created for me. I linked to them. And then later in the week when I posted the Lensa, they wrote me a very angry note saying like, you say that you're trying to help the homeless and support artists, and now you're going to put me, out of work and into the streets. And I'm like, wow, I think it can be both. And I understand why you're so threatened and why this can be so difficult. But I kind of feel like you can wish that the world could stay simple. You could wish that we didn't use screens, and you could wish we didn't have the internet, and we didn't have washing machines for our clothes. But this is the world that we're in. And so you can fight it, or you can surrender to it. Like Byron Katie says, you can fight reality, but you'll lose only 100% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that whole thing is it's a lot. It's a lot, and I appreciate where somebody like that is coming from, and I also feel like, and not to get too in the weeds with it, but a lot of people who were not complaining when the ride share apps kind of came and supplanted taxis. Like there wasn't a lot of people like crying about the taxi drivers. Like we were like, all right, this is a new thing. It's better for me. It's cheaper. I'm going to do that. Same with like Airbnb, same with Netflix, same with like all these apps that technology made a thing like easier and better to do. And there were some people that rejected it. And there's a lot of people that embraced it. And I think a good question is like, okay, so who do I have to be, or who do I have to become, or what do I have to do for me to feel good about embracing this? What do I need to change? So it comes back to self, and not really, like you say, like Byron Katie says, like don't fight reality. Like, okay, this is where we're at. So, we can gnash our teeth and shake our fist at the sky at the end of all that, where, you're still in the same place. What are you going to do with in this new world that we find ourselves in?
Yes, exactly. I feel like I'd really like to speak to the point around the difference of the filters that we've been kind of dealing with over the last few years that kind of put this airbrush look over our face to make ourselves more beautiful, but sort of in a deceitful sort of way, versus this new version of filters that provides an opportunity for us to be colorful and vibrant and in these costumes. And it's like very obvious that we're trying to change the way that we look. It's not this like, oh, I'm ashamed of the way that I really look, so I'm going to put this glossy filter over myself so that way I feel good about myself. It's a totally different approach in my perspective around self-confidence and boosting self-esteem, because I think that we all have felt that way when you saw that first time you've ever seen an airbrush filter on yourself. You're like, oh wow, I'm kind of beautiful, right? But then there's all this judgment that comes on, right? And so here it's kind of permissioning us to put that filter on and to feel good about ourselves, and it's okay. And then also we get a chance to celebrate each other in that expression of art, right? Like when I saw both of yours and all of the people I've been seeing, it's like, whoa, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Wow, you're so magical. Oh my gosh, I love this one of my friend. Oh, I love this one of you, and it's a celebration of each other in a way.
I also think that there's nothing deceitful about it.
Right.
I don't look at any of these and go like, oh, is that, I know that is this idealized version of them, and I can appreciate that. I'm not going to, next time I see you, go like, oh, wow, you look nothing like your AI.
What happened?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like let's be real. We love filters, right? And the old filters that kind of just mask who we are, right, are kind of like hiding behind something, right?
Yeah. I've heard a few people say that they do find it to be discouraging and depressing to see the idealized version of themselves, which I think speaks more to this process of self-esteem and finding, what do we project about ourselves into the world? What do we struggle to actualize? Someone point out this incredible, this woman, Trinity, in a thread, she said, Carl Rogers had a lot to say about this topic. Humanist psychology, with a theory that the closer our self-image and ideal self are to each other, the higher our sense of self-worth. So it's this idea of this can be a way for us to transcend the walls of our self-image towards self-actualization, which is, the humanist psychology idea of that's our highest purpose once we get our basic needs met.
I feel like, when it comes to, the transcendent nature of, these images, that is a thing that I've seen over the last few days that is concerning to a lot of people. They're feeling like, oh, this is like, it's leading us down this path, or like we're losing our humanity, and like we're doing, for whatever reason. And I can't help but just immediately, like, the thought comes to my head, like, this ain't that deep. It's we can enjoy it, we can play with it, and it's fun, it's a tool, and it doesn't have to mean that we're, there's other stuff that might be indicative of our AI robot overlords coming for us. I don't know that this is it. I think it's a reason that we can we can tap into. And again, to what Halcyon was saying, is like, when we see our idealized versions of ourselves, or like our highest version of ourselves, for want of a better term, and we can come to embody that on a regular basis. We feel good about that. I think that's why some people come out of Burning Man so lit up and so jazzed, because they were really embodying, who they are for that entire week, especially if you've gone for a couple times and you kind of get the hang of it. And then you can go just drop in there and just be like, boom, this is me, and be celebrated for that for like a week. And then you come out of, you come back here, and this is why, Halcyon is like, no, this is my world. There's nothing different. There's nothing different happening on the playa that's not happening on 36th Street, what have you. So, and so that's whatever gets us there, I think is worthy of taking note of and celebrating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that there's, our reality is determined by the way we visualize it, and so I don't think that we're really bound by the hard specifics of the way light hits our eyes. Like, I see my friends, every time I see them, I am not looking at every dot on their face and reimagine. I have an image of my friends. Like, when I'm with a lover in the dark, I have a idealized version of them that is way beyond the way they physically represent in the world. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of feel like this tool is a way for us to tune our mind's eye into a way beyond the physical, which I think is really powerful.
Yes, connecting to someone's essence.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I close my eyes and I think of a friend, I don't think about the texture of their skin or the bags under their eyes the last time I saw them, or like the negative things that, like, so often we're like, oh man, I feel so ugly or whatever. I don't remember those things about the people that I love and care about that are in my life. When I tune in and think about them, I think about their essence and who they are and their hearts. Right. And that's what I think these are helping us to see, like, oh, wow, I have this ability to express an essence. Right. And I think that there is something really beautiful about this conversation, too, because, in this, what I see as a revolution of self-love, right? We're coming into a time where we're learning to love who we are and hopefully eradicate a lot of the depression and the unworthiness and this negative self-talk, right? There's more and more tools available, and coaches and healers and therapists that are really promoting what it is to truly love ourselves, right? And now in social media world, it really brings about this shift in perception around what is ego and what is it, to post a picture of yourself being beautiful. Is that conceited? Is that coming from a place of like, oh, look at me, I'm good, or I'm better than, or whatever? But if it's coming from a genuine, authentic place of like, I celebrate who I am, which, Halcyon, you're a pro at that. You let yourself shine. You allow yourself to be fully in your expression of your radiance and your ego and your beauty and your message, right? And it's not always so easy for everyone to do that. We're learning how to love ourselves and allow ourselves to be seen in loving ourselves and honoring ourselves, celebrating ourselves. So I think this app is really doing good things. It's pushing the edges for us in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. And real quick, just kind of touch base on that, is that we're in a time where back in the day, you had to look a certain way in order to be celebrated for how you look, and for who you were, frankly. And we have really gotten to a point. It's one of the best things about the time we're living in now is that everybody gets to be celebrated, no matter your race, your gender, your, whatever your physical appearance. That gets to be celebrated. Like, okay, you might be 300 pounds, but there's lingerie for you now. you get to look sexy. You get to feel sexy. That wasn't true 5 years ago, but that's true now. And we get to, we all get to celebrate that. And this is not like this technology that we've been talking about. It's available to everybody. And you don't have to, already be close to like the physical ideal to use this. Like I've seen the same app being used, or other versions of AI technology being used to create visions of elderly people, like really old people, like 80, 90-year-old people, like just sitting in a park and laughing. And it's clearly an AI image, but it's like, wow, it's really fascinating to see how this is being applied to all populations and to all people. So it's not just about celebrating your highest self. It's really, and this is the interesting thing about it, but people say like, oh, I don't see your soul in there. And it's like, look harder.
Yeah.
Look harder. There's like the fact that this technology is getting people's essence out there. Like this is like, there's people who are like, these are my photos, but I don't really see me in a lot of them. And their feedback is like, no, I totally see you. And like most of them is like, this is what we see. And what we're seeing is the essence coming through, is that less the physicality.
So I ran my grandfather through, who passed in 2007.
I saw those.
And the images were incredible. I get chills just now. I just got chills. Aww. It's like there's one with him, like clouds all around him, and it looks, it's so him. It's him like as an angel.
You're sparking something for me that I actually feel really passionate about, and especially in the theme of this podcast around staying sparked, staying inspired. I believe that when we hold the people in our lives high, then the people in our lives have an opportunity to rise into that, right? It's amazing when we are around people that believe in us, right? There is something that happens within us, right? And to be able to have this as an opportunity, when you look at your friends' pictures online, or you look at a person even in person, and you go, wow, you're amazing. You're so amazing. They can start to light up. Like I know personally, like Halcyon, your gratitude at the beginning, when you gave that girl that like compliment of being weird, when somebody has come to me in my journey, especially if I have felt insecure or uncertain about myself, and somebody says, wow, I see you, I believe in you, you're amazing, you're beautiful, you're all the things, the acknowledgement, right? When somebody holds that space for me, then I feel myself just soften and rise into what another person can see of me. And so my hope is that we all can celebrate each other's beauty in these art forms and these different expressions, whether that's a photo or an image that has been generated with new, colors and costumes, and really fan each other's flames in a positive way and say, hey, like, wow, you're amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. You're amazing. And help to clear some of the self-doubt and insecurities and depressions and frustrations.
I think that we have some deep cultural pressures that we are encouraged to look towards negative things as is more real. Like if you get too optimistic or you see yourself in too high regards, people will say, you need to face reality. It's like, well,
yourself, yeah.
Part of reality is this amazingness that is me. Part of the reality is this incredible possibilities. And I think that anytime we have supportive friends or networks or communities, or maybe a digital portrait of ourselves that helps us to see that, reality also is this miraculous possibility.
Yes, and we get to play in it. Let's
Yeah.
play, right? How can we enjoy this life and be in this like incredibly dynamic world, right? And play is such an important part of it. And it feels like that this technology is giving people an opportunity to get creative and get play and think outside the box and see themselves in new light. And it's really amazing.
Well, I have been enjoying playing with you guys very, very much. Before we come to a close, any closing thoughts on this? Well, we'll never close it, but maybe some final thoughts on these our manifestations of our avatars in digital or non-digital ways.
Yes, I have a spark. I would say that the closing piece on here is to give ourselves permission to express through dress. Put on something you haven't worn in a while that makes you feel fabulous. And also, in that regard, support local artists. You know, I put on these really fun, fabulous earrings today because they make me feel really just magical. And they were made by a dear friend. And so I love getting to support local artists and visionary artists while also getting to express myself in my own avatar.
Yes, and speaking of that, depending on when time you are listening to this, it could be the holiday time of the year when we get pulled into the obligation to buy things for people, and the way to get out of that is to buy things from artists.
Yes.
You know, you can get a win-win-win, make the person that you're gifting to feel great. You can make the creator of the art feel great, and then you can feel great, and you can turn the obligation of the gifting season into just a amplification of goodness in the world.
Which is a great approach. It's a win-win-win all around. And yeah, it's a brave new world that we are in, and it is really, and things are coming at you fast. Things are coming at us fast. And so we can do all the things. There's no real, I don't believe there's a choice to be made. Like we can do the new thing, which is great, and it's fun, and it's easy in a lot of ways. And we can continue to support artists. We can continue to be artists, and know that as long as we're following our hearts, the universe, you cannot go wrong following your heart. Doesn't matter what avenue you're going into. So just stick with that. The universe has your back. And you are always supported. It's all to your benefit. So just keep being true to yourself, and you're going to find yourself in good company.
This is I think today actually is the 21st anniversary of me registering the domain name cockybastard.com. And it was a time when I was pursuing self-love, at a time when I was struggling with self-esteem. And as I tried to express online the idea of being the protagonist of my own epic myth, but I think the internet gives us that tool, and these new tools are extending that possibility of being the protagonist of our own epic myth. But if I mentioned the idea of self-love, people were for sure going to call me a cocky bastard. So I just kind of owned it. And so I think it's beautiful that I'm celebrating this 21st birthday as so much of the world is stepping into this acceptance of their potential and their self-love. And may we all be cocky in our celebrations of self and our communities.
Indeed.
Yes.
Oh, before we close up, JANUS, where can people find you online, and what is your offering for the world in case they want to do some shopping?
For anyone who wants to do some shopping, you can check the show links for the website for my company, which is NuWorldNutritionals.com. It's NU World Nutritionals. We have a line of nutritional supplements. Our premier product is called Micromicell Plus, which is an excellent product based on all natural ingredients, mushrooms, amino acids, herbs, to help anything with the brain, help with your mind, help keep you focused, alert, relaxed. It's good for, reducing symptoms of like anxiety, depression, ADHD, things like that. It's a really good supplement, especially this time of year, to kind of help you, keeps you calm, keeps you focused, lets you get stuff done. So, which is, we could all use a little help with that sometimes. So yeah, check it out, NuWorldNutritionals.com.
Fantastic. How about you, Betsy?
In a very similar vein, I love helping people to feel good about themselves in a different way. So, my company is called Power Affirmation, and I offer a journal that helps with positive self reflection, reprogramming limiting beliefs, which essentially helps us to feel more relaxed and at ease, reduces depression, helps to cultivate a greater sense of self. And the journal is prompted to help you really get into a practice of consistency and programming our thoughts in a way that can help us feel really good. So yeah, you can check out poweraffirmation.com to find the journal. And also I empower people virtually to go through the journal together and working on building a community of affirmation enthusiasts.
And my book, Protagonist, would make a great gift as well. And I heard a rumor that maybe there was a discount code for listeners of this show.
Maybe for both Betsy and myself, I believe
Oh yeah.
the code would be sparked.
Put in sparked.
So
Yay! Awesome.
type in sparked in the discount code, and you will make my cat very happy.
Yay! So look at this. We're back to win, 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 winning. So thank you. Before we say enjoy this day, Betsy, would you close us with an affirmation?
I would love to. In the spirit of celebrating who we are and the evolution of who we are becoming, the affirmation is, I love who I am and I love who I'm becoming. Say it with me. I love who I am and I love who I'm becoming. I love who I am and I love who I'm becoming. I love who I am and I love who I'm becoming. One more time. I love who I am and I love who I'm becoming. Remembering that we can celebrate who we are and this beautiful evolution of who we are becoming.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you, Janus. Stay sparked, everyone.